sorry. Thank you. Perfect. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the April 14th, 2026 meeting of the Police Services Board. I have no comments. No, I'm not sure that till after. The land acknowledgement on April 14th, 2026, we acknowledge that this sacred land on which Smith Falls is now located has been a site of human activity for over 10,000 years and is rich in indigenous history. The land is ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. We are grateful to the Algonquin ancestors who cared for the land and the water in order that we may meet here today. We are also grateful to the Algonquin people for their contribution in the making of the Rideau Canal, which runs through Smith Falls. We are mindful of broken covenants and the need to reconcile with all our relations. Together, may we care for this land and each other, drawing on the strength of our mutual history of nation building through peace and friendship, being mindful of generations to come. I do not have any comments right now, so any amendments to the agenda? None?
No. Motion for approval?
Motion for approval that the April 14th, 2026 Police Services Board meeting agenda be approved as circulated. Sean, Andrew, all in favor? Then we will disclosure of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest and general nature thereof. Anybody with a conflict of interest or pecuniary interests? No. In camera, we'll go to in camera. Do I need to read off the whole thing or just a motion?
Motion to move in camera.
Motion to move in camera. Andrew, Rob, all in favor? We'll be back in probably 45 minutes to an hour. I'll do a quick rising report on was discussed just from a non. Anyway, the board was given an update on any pending litigation. The board was given an update from Graham Wright, our lead with the Inspector General. Is that the correct title, Inspector General? The in-camera minutes for the last two in-camera minutes were adopted. The board given an update. Update will be brought forward to the May meeting. The board gave an update. I will be brought to the board meeting on a May meeting to be discussed. Sorry, I'm supposed to correspond these to each. On regards to our quality assurance plan, that is item E. We to be discussed updated new business. The aggressive disciplinary policy to be discussed under new business next month, and the remove. Let me just discussed in open session. G was the matters involving individuals will be discussed in open session. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Okay. And H was adopted to agenda board updated stating items. So that was to do with personal issues? Or no, that was staffing issues, sorry. Okay. Correspondence. April 5th, we received an email from Kelly Denham, public disclosure and inclusion of updating policies. Who would like to comment on that or speak to that first? Sean?
Well, Carrie and I met with Ms. Denham in or around that time. I'm not sure the actual day or time, but a lot of it with regards to the board's policy development, which I'll speak to very shortly in our agenda.
Okay.
So receive for information at this stage at least.
Yeah, we thank Ms. Denham for correspondence, and we will, as we've hired. I'll let Sean talk about that a little later. Can we approval of the minutes? Recommended motion that the March 10th, 2026 Police Services Board minutes be approved as circulated. Andrew, Rob, all in favor? Carried. Business arriving from previous minutes, new business. We're going to move item F, board policies update by Sean, by Deputy Chair Panko. We're going to move it up on the list. Sean does have a previous engagement that he has to go to. So is that
okay?
Correct?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this does relate to Ms. Denham's question. So our board policies are dated, and they are available to the public. I'm not sure if they're digitized yet, but we have them available. But overall, we've been working through a process for about the last almost 2 years to update our board policies, and they are significant in volume, and it's, how I say it, I think we looked for some guidance from the ministry, but in reality, I guess it was really up to us to develop the policy. So last year, we hired a consultant to develop the policies. About 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, we received them on a stick. There's 100, 108 or 110, I think, individual policies. Now, what I'm suggesting is that we have a small working group who can get together within the next few weeks to review the policies, to amend the policies as needed, and to bring them to the entire board for review and eventual approval. So it is a fair amount of work, but I want to ensure that we get this done very quickly. The new CSPA has a lot of, that's 2 years old now, but still fairly new, a lot of requirements, and we need to ensure obviously that we're in compliance. And now that we have the draft policies, it's important that we have the chance to review them. So I would volunteer to be part of that small working group, and I'm wondering if we had one more member of the board who's interested in doing so. So we have two hands up.
Oh, so how about
Chair.
both? Do you buy three?
If we have three, the only thing is well, okay. So I guess if it's three, it's going. We're ultimately quorum, but I'll back out if you two want to do it.
I don't. No,
You've been in from the beginning. You should be there. Probably.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I
He's
don't
been in there from the
mind.
beginning.
Yes.
Should be there.
Yeah, somebody with a,
Okay.
Do you want to do it or? Could go either way.
Coin?
If you want to do it, do it.
Yeah.
Oh.
you would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and I,
we don't need a member of staff, the chief or
Well-
deputy chief?
the chief will be part of it.
Okay,
as well. Yeah.
understood, yep, okay.
Okay.
And
Along with,
so once we develop our policies, then we will have them finished up, put on the public display, and then we'll ask the public for any comments that they may have that we could reconsider if there was is that acceptable?
Well, I think one of the things that we're probably going to do is we have to get the policies in place, and then we can request a delegation. If anybody has questions or comments, we can always amend those at any date. And if there's questions or concerns, a delegation can be brought before us, and then we can amend those accordingly.
Okay.
Because I mean, I think the important thing is getting them in place, but at the same time, we do want feedback from the community and their input in revising and amending any issues that they may see with what's involved with what we've done.
So I believe we can get this done before our May board meeting.
That'd be great, okay. So yourself and Andrew will, and the
Okay.
chief, and
Carrie.
what's Carrie's role? What do we?
Secretary.
Secretary Costello will be involved in that process. Have fun. Thank you very much for volunteering. The budget 2026 and the budget, I think it's actually supposed to say 2025. I think we were finishing the two of those up.
Correct.
Or no, finishing 2025. I think
Yes,
so.
2026. Yeah, thank you.
I would like to call on Deputy Chief Kettle to present that, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just very quickly, some notes from the chief on the end of year budget 2025. You'll see, I believe you had a copy somewhere where it's indicating surplus. The note on that is when budget was done in 2024, 2025, we didn't anticipate the amount of successful grants we've been able to procure this past year or for that year. And obviously that puts our funding into a surplus. Salary recovery has assisted in reducing the salary line budget as well. This will also be listed in our annual reporting, in our annual plan. So we've done a really good job last year and into this year too about acquiring some grants that are available to us, which really go a long way to help our service and the overall bottom line. So kind of a good problem to have for us for sure. So I just wanted to point that out. And then for the 2026 budget, two areas of concerns that have kind of it's a little higher than anticipated is complex maintenance and property repairs. In relation to that, with health and safety requirements that we've undertaken as we went around our building for improvements and things like that, improved lighting, electrical work, exit signs, our generator has been upgraded and tuned up, better working conditions, sprinkler system repairs, had some paint inside the building, and all those are basically those types of things. General maintenance, just to bring up the quality of the building, has kind of pushed those two sections up. So Chief just wanted me to indicate that was the reason for that, if there are any questions. So that's it for the two budget reports.
I guess that way.
Okay, thanks, Sean. You seem to be I did a quick for the March 31st budget to date. We seem to be March 31st would indicate we're 25% of the way through the budget, and we're like labor, for example, is at 18%, and we're 7% below, which is wonderful. I'm sure we'll have some overtime and things like that coming up, but that's it's tracking very well. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we're quite pleased. Thank you.
Report on aggregate disciplinary measures, the CSPA section 215 A and B. Deputy Chief Kettle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Obviously, as part of the ongoing amalgamation to the CSPA and adaptation to the new policies and procedures, there's some recommendations that the board receive a report pursuant to section 215(1) of the CSPA. And it has to do with the report on aggregate disciplinary measures, which will be a yearly report done by us and tabled to the board. Just wanted to point out that we do have that in place, and we will be making those reports to the board as per the policy.
That's it on that?
Yeah.
We, the board noted that in our policy, we need to set our threshold to be reported. The question is whether an officer suspended, what the discipline means. Like, Staff Sergeant King suggested, like, there's always corrections, or you could think of doing it this way. That's not a disciplinary measure. So the board actually, in our new policy, needs to set a clear perimeter or parameter of where that threshold is and whether it needs to be reported or not. And we will clean that up in part of our policies.
Yeah, that's right, Mr. Chair. That's why my language was a little bit vague at most, because I know this is a work in progress between the board and the service. I just wanted to make public that we do have those checks and balances in place, and depending on what the board's wishes are as far as reporting procedures, we're happy to adapt to that and provide on those numbers and based on the specifications.
Thank you. Internal audit, any questions on any of that item? No. Internal audit and quality assurance annual report 2025. Deputy Chief Kettle, one more time.
Thanks again, Mr. Chair. Obviously, again, as part of the CSBA, there's a quality assurance procedure plan that's been adopted. Section 23 of the Ontario Regulation 392/23 in relation to adequate and effective policing requires every police service board and chief of police to implement a quality assurance process within in-house. So I just wanted to make sure that it was public that is aware that we do have this quality assurance plan in place. We have and are conducting our own internal quality assurance audits on things that to ensure that we're providing adequate, effective policing in a broad range of things as far as IT development, how our evidence room works, things of that nature. It's kind of an all-encompassing thing where we really take an in-house look at the different things we do and the way we do business. And we'll have those as we conduct each audit. We'll have a copy of those for the board and stuff, and any things that maybe we deem deficient or whatever, or what corrective action we take, what recommendations, and then how we implemented those. So basically, I just wanted to make that known that part of the act is being undertaken by our service on a day-to-day basis to ensure that we are providing adequate and effective policing.
And we have received this report, so thank you very much. Anybody else, sorry? Any other comments? No. Deputy Chief Kettle. Schedule 14 agreement. Deputy Chief Kettle.
Yeah, it was talked about with the board today as well. The Section 14 agreement, which is an agreement for policing, contract of policing under the OPP, as far as different measures of policing, as far as maybe canine tactical response, things like that, to ensure that we in Smith Falls are providing adequate, effective policing. That agreement has been presented to the board for review, and I anticipate will be signed off and we'll enter into that stuff. And that's gone provincially across to all services. So just wanted to make that public, that knowing that we are in receipt of that and have reviewed it.
It is not financially viable for us to have our own helicopter, our own K9 unit, our own marine unit, that sort of thing. That's why we work along in collaboration with the OPP. So that's just basically says that they will help us on things that we don't have the resources to do.
That's correct. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Update on the strategic plan. Is that am I reading that correct? So is that it? Like it's the report on what's the operational report? Sorry, Deputy Chief Kettle.
We're doing the operational report. Is that
Yeah, that's what I had. Just the strategic plan. Is that am I correct, Carrie?
No, the operational report's further down in the agenda. This
Oh, sorry. Okay. The strategic plan is. Do I have that on there?
That's Chris anyway.
What's that?
That's Chris.
I know it's you have that. Sorry.
Yeah, I quickly talk about that. Our strategic plan has been compiled. It's just being kind of edited and stuff and getting all packed up, and it'll be ready for. But it contains a multitude of things, right from top to bottom, as far as different things within our service and stuff. So.
Okay. Board policies we've already discussed. Well, then we'll go into the operational and training update. Deputy Chief Kettle.
Just the operational. I'm happy to introduce the newly minted Staff Sergeant Dan King, who is, I won't say willingly, but
Begrudgingly.
he's been asked to present the operational report for March. It's
Great.
been a very busy month, so there's a lot of great things to talk about.
Chief
Thank you very
Chief Jody Eppie is away, so Deputy Chief Kettle and Staff Sergeant Dan King are taking over today. So
Yes.
welcome, Staff Sergeant King.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and I'll try and carry on the legacy of the deputy's delivery of this report. I guess March was a extremely busy month for the police service. We were for the month of March, we had 607 occurrences. That was up from 526 in February. So definitely an increase for the officers and investigation wise. Overall charges and arrests for March 2026, 86 criminal charges laid in March. And as a result of that, there were 37 arrests made. So
More than double. Oh, but more than double. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, 37 arrests, charges laid. So some of those people arrested had multiple charges. Some of them may have one, others maybe, 10 to 15 in some cases. So, yeah. Charges in relation to arrests, you can't say one for one sort of thing, but breach-related charges for March 2026. Under law, there's different release orders that people can be released on, depending on the case. It's a breakdown of undertakings, release order. So failed to comply, condition on undertaking, there was 0 release. Failed to comply with release order, there were 7 breaches. Probation, 18. Breach of recognizance, 4. And all those are issued by different levels. Undertakings are issued by the police. Release order, probation, and recognizance are all court released documents that are issued by the court and conditions people would be in breach of. Total breach-related charges were 29. And the percentage of total charges was 34%. Noteworthy calls for service, IPV cases, 32. That was up from 26 in February. As I look after the reviewing the IPV cases for the service, and we definitely are very consistent month to month on how many calls for service in relation to this very important topic. And it's something we are looking for education and going forward to help people in situations like that. Assaults 4, down from 5 in February, so that's fairly consistent. Family disputes 6, also consistent from the previous month. Bail violations 8, down from 10. Break and enters, there was an uptick in break and enters, and which I'll touch on after further in the report. Mischiefs, again, an increase, and harassment cases, an increase there. Mental Health Act incidents, we had 26 calls for service, down from 37 in February. And of those cases, there were 6 apprehensions, 3 arrests, 3 voluntary to the hospital. Hospital wait times, this stays fairly average month to month, to 30 minutes to 4 hours, depending on the situation. And that's sort of out of our control in a lot of cases, depending on what's going on at the hospital and their triaging of people. Sometimes we do get pushed to the side a little bit, depending on if there's an emergency coming in, right? So, mobile crisis response team, nurses attended for 4 calls, but behind the scenes, they're working constantly on following up with people, and they're invaluable to us. They're giving, and our officers learn quite a bit from them on the road, riding with them day to day. They may see things in a different perspective as an officer going in, With the young service, we definitely have officers growing in that field, and we take on a lot of responsibility in cases like that when the nurses aren't around. So definitely well worth the money spent on them. Proactive policing. Foot patrol hours 12 hours, school visits 24, community service hours 44, and bike patrol obviously 0 hours. But in the coming months, we will be increasing all of those, hopefully, with the nicer weather and more community events taking place.
When will the nicer weather be coming?
Let's go. Hope for May. Looks like there's lots of rain in the forecast. Bike patrol. We just had our bikes tuned up last week, so that will be rolling out, and I hope to get some of our newer officers trained over the course of the next year or two on that case, so they can be out patrolling. Traffic enforcement, March 2026, collisions, 17. There's a breakdown there of where, and 3 fatal remains. 7 HTA charges and 2 criminal code charges in relation to that. There was 149 vehicle stops and 47 charges in relation. Vehicle stops resulting in charges and were 47 of those stops. Charges issued in total were 74. Again, that's similar to your arrests and multiple tickets being issued at traffic stops. And 3 charges under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act related as well. Alcohol and drug charges through proactive traffic stops. I know the deputies touched on this over the last year. The increase in impaired driving as a result of our proactive ability, that totally corresponds to having more officers out on the streets patrolling, and we've seen that increase over the last couple of years, doubling. And we've known for years they're out there. It's just now that we have the manpower to be able to be out there and proactively search for these people, we're seeing the results. So there's 14 criminal, alcohol, and drug charges related to proactive traffic stops. And Operation While Impaired exceeding 80. There was 4 charges each. And one failed to comply with a breath demand. Having care and control of motor vehicle with open liquor, there's 4 charges, and 1 novice driver with blood alcohol over 0. There's 1 charge. And again, with the nicer weather, hopefully around the corner, but we could see these increase, and they typically do into the nicer months. So again, we want to be out there proactively.
Do we have any data on marijuana usage and stops?
As far, I don't know if we have any data.
Or just in terms of arrests made for somebody under the influence of marijuana?
So they could be, depending on the circumstance, they could be impaired by both.
Okay.
But the fail-safe is to resort to alcohol.
Okay.
Because it's the more determined over the course of the years with impaired driving. The science is there to back it conclusively. Whereas we do have DREs on staff, drug recognition experts, and if needed, they can on a drug only.
Okay.
So sometimes if you arrest somebody and they're under suspicions of drugs, what we'll do is we'll do an elimination alcohol test prior to getting into the drug. And if that elimination alcohol test registers exceeded levels, then we will strictly go alcohol because it's so solid. The evidence in the courts is basically what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And so, yes, impaired operation. I don't believe any of them in March were drug. It was all alcohol based. Step enforcement was not internet safety, but intersection safety, stop signs, improper turns, traffic lights, things like that. 12 charges were issued in relation to March STEP initiative. Your impaired driving continue to be proactive. We were saying 15 breath tests have been conducted in 2026 with 14 people being arrested and charged accordingly. I just stopped being the coordinator for our breath program, but I can say compared to 2 years ago, we're already ahead of numbers that we had 2 years ago. And that's strictly in relation to the having boots on the ground, being more proactive, staffing levels up. So we are catching them.
That's good for us, bad for the impaired drivers.
Yes. So, as step target for April will be seatbelt, child car seat restraints. Top enforcers in March were Constables Robideau, Gurman, and Blanchard. All very young officers, but all are very proactive in their police work and traffic enforcement. CIB for March, we continue to be the leading investigators on the missing person file and assisting the criminal investigations branch of the OPP, and that's continuing and will continue for some time. There was an armed robbery case. A search warrant was done up in a timely fashion, and as a result of the search warrant and the initial investigation, 2 suspects were arrested and charged accordingly. We had 2 commercial break and enter investigations. Again, 2 suspects arrested and charged. 4 sexual assault investigations, which are ongoing. Those tend to be complex investigations as well. And they do take some time. Identity fraud. It's an ongoing investigation regarding vehicle loans. A lot of paperwork and behind that type of investigation. Historical IPV related investigation, which has gone to a Crown consultation. Charges are expected to be laid in that case. Child abuse investigation. Search warrant was executed on the residence. Foster parents were charged and arrested with an aggravated assault in that case, which was, again, a very complex case, being the victim was so young. So you're relying on, I guess, a lot of evidence instead of having an actual victim being able to say this happened to me. So a lot of good work by our officers on that investigation. And then, again, speaking to our proactive ability, ongoing intelligence gathering related to drug trafficking activities in town. That's CIB and our road officers making notes and observations just on their day-to-day patrols, which also led to help solving our break and enters. Just knowing people, seeing them, making observations and notes on certain things. Community service officer, Sean Keoghan, along with the other road officers, numerous school visits conducted throughout the month. Practice lockdown drills conducted at St. Luke's School. We're currently planning with the hospital for a code response scenario, which will be going live at the end of this month, just on them triggering a certain code in the hospital and the hospital's response along with police and fire response to that code. So a lot of planning. We've had a couple meetings in relation to that already. Polar Plunge raised over $10,000, which the bulk of it will be staying in Smiths Falls. So it was a great turnout by everybody this year. Situation table, one case, filter, 4 meetings, 2 cases. And again, there was a Polar Plunge meeting held. Media relations, 3 interviews with Lake 88. Also, for first time, our officers were asked to assist with Meals on Wheels. So in between calls and things like that, we were able to assist in delivering meals to some homes in the town. On March 11th, we held a joint training session at the arena with us and OPP for a lot of new officers. So what we did was brought in a lot of services, victim services, Interval House, sexual assault support groups, and things like that to give our officers an idea of what resources are out there for victims. And human rights training, racism, and we also had a Crown attorney in to speak to the officers on best practices. In March training, Constables Derek Dewey and Ben Keoghan were sent on breathalyzer technician training. They have since just last week been designated, so they can start now doing tests. Couple officers, Mike Hart, Lindsay LeMay, CISO Confidential Informant Foundation course. So that's a step in the right direction for us, and more responsibility and evidence gathering and things like that. Kayla McDowell, civilian with the service, attended Waterloo on a media officer course. So we've yet to debrief with her on all the things she's learned, but that's hopefully coming this week or next, just to get an idea how things are being done across the province in relation to us putting out messages and communicating with the people across the community. And criminal record stat checks, it's there. I don't think you need me to read out numbers. It's there if you want to view it. Incidents of note. Armed robbery investigation at a local gas station. Female suspect brandished a firearm and demanded cash. No injuries in that situation. Again, we've arrested 2 people in relation to that incident and charged, and they're still currently in custody. Commercial break and enter at a local restaurant, smashed through the front door and stole a tip jar. Again, we're able to identify the person involved. Charges have been laid. And another smash and grab downtown. Numerous items taken from the store. Again, we were able to identify and charge in that rather quickly. And that's in relation to a lot of good boots on the ground footwork, proactive patrol officers, knowing the people in town who are causing some of these issues and being able to identify them rather quickly. Search warrant or aggravated assault investigation. Yes, I touched on that. 16-month-old infant, complex and collaborative investigation with, between our CIB branch, CAS, and medical staff at CHEO. Foster parents were arrested and charged, and the child was removed from their care. Search warrant was executed on the residence to gather more evidence in relation to those cases. And again, it's a lot of work being put into that in a short period of time due to the victim not being able to speak for themselves. Commercial break and enter at a local gas station. This was a coordination collaboration with Hamilton Police. We had a smash and grab in the early hours of the evening at a local gas station. Large number of merchandise was taken. And we were able to collect a lot of good evidence at the scene, which then putting out bulletins and things like that, Hamilton Police, we came to realize they had been watching this group who had committed I'm not even sure that how many break and enters in southwestern Ontario. So they were able to identify the persons involved. So, and the persons were taken into custody in that region. Search warrants executed down there, which led evidence. We have evidence, and charges will be coming forth in the next little while once we collaborate more with Hamilton Police on that side of things. So that was a good solve across the province, networking and putting the message out there. Proactive patrol. This one, Constable Robideau on proactive patrol, just patrolling in the early hours of the night, came upon somebody about to do a home invasion. They're wearing masks, armed with a weapon, and going through a door, basically, into somebody's home. He was right place, right time, was able to apprehend the person. As a result of that, numerous charges were laid. He had observed the male also driving, so as a result, impaired charges were also laid in that case. So, excellent coordination between frontline officers and the IDENT unit. 2 suspects are arrested. I think that's in relation to break and enters. Yes. Yep. So, so we already touched on that. So, no, and a lot of good work by the officers. And I can say, like, all these investigations aren't finished yet. There's more follow-up and things to be done on them, but that's part of the job. And some of these investigations can, even though we have somebody in custody, can take a month or two to complete from start to finish. So there never ends with the arrest, unfortunately. So, that's sort of where we're at right now.
The quarterly plans they've been put in just because of the January to March and just the totals there. We've already covered those in the previous deputy reports for those months, but those are just kind of the roundup numbers for that period of time.
Perfect. Thank you, Staff Sergeant
Daniel?
Yes, very well done. Are you volunteering for this every month? Is that my understanding? So,
Yes, he is.
isn't that wonderful? I didn't even hear him speak.
I just have to do what I'm told. There's a rank and file for a reason, I guess. So.
I do that at home, yes, you're right. Thank you. What else do we have? Oh, sorry, got to turn the page.
Date and time.
Date and time for the next meeting is May the 12th, 2026 at 8 a.m. in this exact same location. Recommended motion is that the Smith Falls Police Services Board adjourn its proceedings at whatever time it is, 10:21, and stand so adjourned until the next duly called committee meeting. Chris McGuire, Rob, all in favor? Carried. We are hereby adjourned.